he might be good, quick enough to hold us, but it will be at a cost to both of us, unfortunately. Sorry, Jack.
Them's fighting words, Jack. It is my triumphant return to the burning questions, and I'm very happy to be here. And there's smiling faces everywhere. Look at all these kiddies. Andy Gath, Jack Law, who looks like he's got 412 teeth. I don't know how they all get stuck in his head. And we've got Nikkita Ross, who looks like she's ready to do some sort of modelling parade. She's really got the smoky eyes and everything going on here. I do want to mention we've got 12 sponsors now. 3. We've got 3. I'll mention the first of them now. Our originals. Whether you're celebrating a win or shoveling in the stables, you want your staff to look their very best. And you do that with uniforms from Hip Pocket Workwear and Safety. They have you covered for clothing, protective equipment, and plenty more. Embroidery too, I'm told. Check out the hippocketworkwear.com.au. That's the first of 3 readouts, so just stick with us, guys. Concentrate. Now, Andy, this is unbelievable work from you. Now we've gotten to the point where, Brett Carroll, people are trying to predict what's going to be your best. I mentioned it's like a game show. You just keep winning your way through. You're almost up to the $1 million question. Are you getting nervous that this streak can't continue, or you're just so confident in your own ability you'll just keep tipping winners?
No, I always get a little bit nervous. You never know. It's always hard to tip winners, as you prove every week. No. See Brett Carroll trying to have a guess on Twitter which one I was tipping. We'll find out towards the end whether he's right or wrong or not.
You want to be very careful, Andy. You're tipping winners, but I've got a pretty sharp tongue and I'll be using it at some point during the next 15 or 20 minutes, Jack Law. I hear you've been on Burning Questions before and you did a staggeringly good job. But now you're under the true blowtorch because I'm back. How are you? You got the sunnies, some Ray-Bans on top of the cap there. How are you today?
I'm extremely nervous to be doing the show with you today, J-Bon. And I haven't had a lot of practice, for today, and late call up, so I'm not sure how I'll go.
Just talking crap again, isn't he? Jack, he thinks he's going to dominate, as he has been on the track. And Nikkita, you look terrific. You're in the Goulburn Valley. Are you confident with this program at now Bray Raceway Ballarat on Saturday night?
No, not particularly. And I would like to say when Jack was originally and you were away, he had plenty more notice because I organised it. Bon's back, so we're deciding guests at 11:30 p.m. the night before. That's what happens when Bonnie's back. So, no, not super confident, and some tricky questions. So hopefully we have the right people on board this week to try and answer them.
Looks like everyone wants to get whacked. Jack, you've done a good job so far. You're normally the smartass among the crew, but you're the one that's held yourself tight. And these two... Oh, I tell you what, there's going to be trouble for both of them, you would imagine. Now, the first of the burning questions, we'll go to you first. Jack, would you mind change tack this week? And can you and Finn Frost resist Sahara Sirocco regardless? So we know that Andy brilliantly tipped Finn Frost last week, was going to find the front. And would you mind having to hand up? Are you going to be more aggressive this time around?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, it's been moved to Ballarat on Saturday night, so there's no sprint lane there. That'll make a bit of a change to things, I think, in a few races on the night. But he was first up had a little break and was 5 weeks between runs, so he'll be better for the run. And I think probably other than Finn Frost, there's really not a great deal of pressure in the race. So if he can hold the top, he'll give Sahara Sirocco something to chase. And he paced a lot better out the gate last week as well. So that was probably the other thing about him, that he just wasn't doing right. So if he paces good again this week and he can hold the top, I don't see why he can't be the one to win that race.
You're normally very confident in knowing when you can find the front and keep the front or not. And we like to rate these things out of 100%. So how confident are you that Would You Mind will be in front, Jack? And thanks for informing the listeners about no sprint lane. You can be co-host as well. Andy's running the show. You're the co-host, letting them know about the track conditions. How confident are you out of 100?
87.5%.
That's a high distinction. 87.5%. That's pretty good. Do you agree, Andy? Is 87.5% about right? If Would You Mind wants to hold out Finn Frost, can he?
He probably can. Last week was probably the best. He sort of paced. He's left the gate, so they'll probably give him confidence going forward. Ballarat turns a lot tighter than Melton, so we'll really put the heat on him early anyway to see how good he does pace. So Finn Frost can leave the gate pretty good, especially from out wide. He might be good, quick enough to hold us, but it will be at a cost to both of us, unfortunately. Sorry, Jack.
Them's fighting words, Jack.
Yeah.
We're trying to be friends here, aren't we? We're on the burning questions. We get together. We've got smiling faces, and now he's saying, well, basically, I'm going to ruin your chances. We'll just keep bashing you until we get the front. Can Finn Frost win if he's in the breeze, Andrew?
He's run some really good races from the breeze since he's been in Australia, but I don't think he's been able to win one, except for his first start. But he was sort of down in the class, so it's all relevant to how quick they go, I suppose. Last week he led and sort of got left alone. It was only a dash home, so it's all relevant to how quick they go. But he's a pretty strong horse. He's probably at the top of his game, so you never know. But if you're sitting outside a quality horse like Would You Mind, they're never easy to beat home.
And he's basically saying we're going to run the first quarter in 26.5 and wondering how fast the race is going to be. I think I know now, Andy, from your previous comments. See, this is what happens when you be right. Skeeter, what do you think? Sahara Sirocco, too good. What's going to happen tactically? It seems like there's a little bit of agreement here that Would You Mind will be able to probably hold the front if they really want to, and it sounds like they do.
Yeah, I thought so. Just how he worked out of the gate last week. I thought he paced nicely out, as Jack said, and showed a bit of speed and was quite happy to obviously take the trail behind Finn Frost. So I thought this week, obviously, no sprint lane makes a big difference, and I thought Would You Mind was probably going to be the one in front. Obviously, if they control tempo from there, it brings Sahara Sirocco right into it, but it hurts Sahara Sirocco's chances if they walk in front. But by the sounds of it, there could be a little bit of speed on early, which no doubt we know how quick Sahara Sirocco can be off that soft trip. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I think Would You Mind in front for mine.
Did you get that message early yesterday afternoon that I thought Jack Law should be? No, you might have missed it. It was on Teams. So, all right, question 2 of the burning questions brought to you by the Fresh Connection, who export Australian fresh fruit to more than 35 countries. Peter Dacos. Headed up by Damien Glen Ross, who is the export manager, not Glen Ross, that's just a movie, and does a magnificent job. The Fresh Connection specialise in citrus, table grapes. I didn't know there were table. Anyway, cherries and mangoes. Freshconnection.com.au. I'll go to you first, Skeeter. Is Nikki Louise the real deal in a time where star mares are in a little bit of a short supply?
Yes, I think she is, Bon. I think she's been super impressive since arriving over from WA and joining the Emma Stewart camp. And that win at Kilmore, yes, she led, but the way that she did it, obviously She's My Baby was in that race, who we saw come out and win the mares race last weekend. Yes, she was a little bit unlucky on that occasion, but she still absolutely smashed rivals that night. So I think she finds her way to the top here and will continue on her winning way.
I tend to agree, Jack. Your thoughts? I mean, there's nothing between these mares at the moment. You take Nikki Louise out of it, and it seems like the draws decide in the race. It's like Jack's always got something funny playing in his head. It's like he's got a meme running through the whole time, and he's just having a giggle in his own mind. Is Nikki Louise just a class above them?
It's just you. You make me laugh all the time. I think Nikki Louise is the best horse in that race. She's tough. She's fast. There's a couple other horses that are going really well. She Will Rock and Diamond Party. I'd love to own either of those two. They're progressing along really nicely, but at this stage, Nikki Louise just looks too good.
If anybody wants to sell She Will Rock or Diamond Party at the moment, we have one bidder, Jack Law. Andy, thoughts on Nikki Louise? Is she a class above these?
Yeah, she seems to be getting better each run. Obviously, get a little bit of intel because Kate drives her, and every time she's driven her, she's gone better and better. And the stable keeps saying she keeps working better too. So she's still on the way up, and yeah, all her runs have been, quite credible, and each run's been better again. And she's got the draw to dominate this race, and you think that, it's her race to lose.
I don't know why we had to bring Keith Cochin into it with better and better, but anyway, you do what you like, Andy. By the way, I was thinking about this. Has there ever been a situation in your time in harness racing? Kate is driving for the 2 leading metropolitan stables in Victoria as their primary reins person. Can you ever remember that being the case in your 64 years in the game?
Well, my ex-wife used to drive for me, and Peter Manning, her father, we're both the 2 leading stables, so it has happened before.
Was it? Well, they weren't combined, really, were they? It was 2 completely separate operations. Yeah. So that would be the only other occasion, but it's just stunning. 2 completely separate operations here, whereas that was a little bit closer knit. But that's why she's going to smash them once again. Although chasing it, you're only 22 behind. You can make up the ground for sure, Jack.
No, I don't think so. It's too late for
I
me.
wouldn't have thought so either, Jack. You're doing really well.
Yeah.
I'll do my
Vandanta,
best.
Vandanta and Torrid Saint, they played Gaze and Copeland last week. It was beautiful to watch, a little alley-oop and then the dunk situation. I reckon they can do it again, Jack. What are your thoughts?
Oh, there's no doubt we could. Yeah, I'll just do whatever I'm told, but I'd actually rather not. I'd rather post Torrid Saint and all the rest. If it was up to me.
Well, is it up to you, Jack? Like, are you your
Probably
own
not.
man, or what's
It's
the go?
probably not. It's probably not up to me. I'll probably get told whatever I get told. I'll probably do, but there's no doubt we can do that this week if it plays out that way. But there's also a couple of horses that you might want to sort of, get up there and, if they think that's going to happen again, they might, want to change plans a little bit into their own hands. But I don't think there's really anything that's probably good enough to want to do that. But personally, I'd rather hold the top on Vandanta.
So try and envisage this conversation between you and Julian Glad in your mind. Like, how do you think it's going to go down? Do you think you're going to get your way, or do you think it's going to be Gaze and Copeland again?
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna be trying my best to get things my way anyway.
Can Vandanta win in front? Because, on
Yep.
face value, he was a bit disappointing last week.
Yeah, I think he can win in front. He's just a better horse in front. From behind, he takes so long to wind up sometimes, and once he's going, he's okay. But he didn't, he resents the sprint lane as well. So going to the inside last week doesn't suit him. I just think, Ballarat, if he can lead, that's probably maybe his best chance, unless he's going to cop a little bit of pressure, or if that's the best thing to do. If there's something on our backs that we have to put through back the fence, maybe. But yeah, we'll weigh it up.
Well, as you've informed the viewers, there is no sprint lane, so there's no concerns there for Vandanta. Andy, what do you think is going to happen after that conversation transpires, and who's going to win the first leg of the quaddie?
Yeah, a little bit tricky. Obviously, Jack's confident in leading, and we all think he's going to lead, but always fast is the one that if he can sort of hold Torrid Saint early, it sort of holds the aces, whether to kick up and try and get the lead off Vandanta or, to post Torrid Saint and, something's sort of got to give. But if Torrid Saint sort of got past it, always fast straight away, everything changes. So it all gets back to tempo related and how hard, they all work to get there. So it could happen again, but it's a little tricky race. I'm not definite what will happen, but neither is Jack or anyone at this stage.
Who are you leaning towards winning?
I think always fast might find the top for whatever reason.
Interesting. I thought he was the one to beat. I think every situation pans out okay for always fast, and I think he's the one to beat. But it is a tricky little race. Even Bulletproof Boy went well last week. Soletic might get things to suit here. Skeeter, what are your thoughts on that fifth race on Saturday night?
Yeah, it is interesting, and I think it might play a little bit differently to what we saw last time out with Torrid Saint and Vandanta. Yes, I think Vandanta gets across quite comfortably. However, I think, as Andy said, always fast is the key. I think he can begin well enough that he can hold Torrid Saint, and then from there they have a decision whether they kick up and post Torrid Saint or take the cover. So. And Bulletproof Boy is the other one, drawn 6. Obviously, we saw him show really good gate speed last week. Do they do that again? Scott Ewan can use him out of the gate when he wants to. So I think it is going to be a little bit more interesting, and Torrid Saint's going to have to work a fair bit harder to find the top if he does this week.
It's going to be a tough way to start the quaddie. Unbelievably, we've got competing fruit companies as our sponsors. We're in the fruit space here. I'll find out what your favourite fruit in a moment is, Andy. The last of our burning questions is with thanks to Falvo Fruits, specialists in the table grapes. People are really playing in the table grape area. Jack, I didn't know that this was such a big market. Since the 1960s, they've been involved in the table grapes. Michael and Josie Falvo are keeping the tradition going, and everyone loves their grapes, with an exclamation point. Keep an eye out for Falvo Fruits. You know you'll love them. Andy, question 4. Well, it's a two-part question. What's your favourite fruit? And also, will the backmarkers overcome their burdens in the Coulter Crown, or is it just too tough?
Yeah, well, actually, table grapes are my favourite fruit. You didn't know.
Maybe you were the one that went out and found these sponsors. Maybe they saw you tipping the winners and they went, we know that Andy Gath loves table grapes. This is just a match made in heaven. It's a no-brainer. McLovin, Maori Law, 30 metres, Coulter Crown, long trip. Is it too hard or can they win?
Well, with the meeting being transferred to Ballarat, I think the 30 metres nearly becomes 50 metres. Such a hard track to make ground out wide on and to get into the race. So, I'd be amazed if either of those could win. Hopefully I'm wrong with one of them. I just think it's too tough. And, it's a little bit tricky. All standing start races are a little bit tricky, but you saw what I'm ready said at times that it had to run last week. Second, they had to go about 2.5 seconds, nearly faster than King Lavana, who done work early and got around early and got the lead. It just makes it nearly impossible if you're back in the field. So it's a little bit tricky, but I think the mark is a little bit wrong at the moment, especially with the outside of the field. I don't think Have Horse Will Travel should be the outside of the field. He's probably got a little fluke and hope from leading off 10 metres, and if he does, pretty hard to beat. But it's a tricky race.
I know you can, apart from doing it in a discretionary fashion, it's very hard to work out how to do the handicaps these days. But is this the wrong system? Because it feels to me, this is a man who was so cowardly, he's tipped McLovin in front because I loathed the race so much and couldn't work it out that I just played the cowardly way out. But is this the wrong way to do it? Because 30 metres in 2021 isn't what 30 metres was 10 or 15 years ago, is it?
No, it's not. It's just harder and harder to win off handicaps these days, and it's very rare for it to happen, especially in big fields. I think I've raced Tornado Valley off 30 metres at Bendigo and he couldn't run top 5. And, he ran a great race. It's just so hard to get into it. So, probably have to bring them up a little bit more closer, I'd say, going forward.
You've parked up next to a nice, strong tower today as well. I just want to congratulate you, Andy. You're just driving towards any towers at one point, but now he's worked his towers out. I love it. Hey, Jack, you look like a banana man to me, to be honest. But are you a table grape aficionado as well, or connoisseur, or what kind of fruit do you go for?
I can't stand bananas, but mandarins are not too bad, and the table grapes are nice as well. But bananas are not for me.
All right, Mandarin boy. Tell us, is that the 30 metres? Is it just too much, even over 2,760 metres, or are horses like McLovin and Māori Law good enough to win regardless?
I think 2,700 metres makes things a little bit easier than 22. But in saying that, you still have to step extremely well and make up that ground fast. And then once you do that, you've still got another 8 or 10 horses in front of you to get around at some stage in the race. So it's still extremely hard. But, like Andy said, Have Horse Will Travel gives, McLovin gives it, 20 metres, whereas the last time they met at Ballarat, that it was from the mobile, and your options are so much different. So they're not out of it, those backmarkers, but it makes it extremely hard.
Yes, I would have to agree with that. It's a most interesting race. I wonder whether, I can't imagine Andy's going to tip Have Horse Will Travel as his best, because he loves the surprise element. He loves making you wait, bated breath, anticipation. So I don't think he would have given it away. What's your fruit of choice, Skeeter? And will that 30-metre handicap? I spent an hour on the race and got no closer to a solution. What are your thoughts on the Coulter Crown?
Mangoes are my go-to. They're my favourite fruit, mango girl. But I'm actually quite disappointed that you've come to me last year, because my notes say Have Horse Will Travel. I thought was well over the odds at 23-5 this morning. And
don't copy Andy.
We have to remember. I think the market's just reacted to that last Ballarat performance. However, he ran the 4th quickest last 800 of the race. He was just always back. They ran home. It was just hard for him to get into it. So I thought that was a forgive run. He was well in the market on that occasion from the extreme back row wide draw, and he's got the advantage on McLovin and some of his other rivals here. So I thought he was well over the odds at 23-5, and off the 10 metres, he was probably the horse on an each way basis that I wanted to go with. But it is such a tricky race, and I thought that you have to respect McLovin, the warhorse that he is, and how Maori Law went last start. But gee, they've got a tricky job, and they were fairly short for mine.
Is it just me, Jack, or did Skeeter start getting angry when she was talking about Have Horse Will Travel just then? Like, it was fast, just like you can't. Like, I was getting a little bit intimidated there, I've got to say. SP Profile as well was in the market on that occasion, so I think the market is wrong as well. We'll go to you first, Skeeter. What's your best on the card? Yeah, I'm a banana man, by the way. Bananas for me. So we've got mangoes, mandarins, table grapes, and bananas. Best, Skeeter?
I was going to go with Nikki Louise. I think she will be winning, but I don't think we'll get a price. So I didn't want to play the cowardly way out. And I'm going with Jack, and I think Chase the Hat Trick can find the top and control things and be very hard to beat from there. So I'm going race 8, Chase the Hat Trick.
Ooh, I'm going against Chase the Hat Trick. What about you, Jackson?
I drove Little Yankee last week and it never saw daylight at any stage and stop blinking. He hit the line under a real hard hold, so I'm not driving it this week, and there's no pressure on me. If it gets beat, we just blame the love bug like we always do.
I tell you what, I did mention the other day, I hate giving you a rap, Jack, but when they cut, like in that situation when there's nowhere to go, I think you're very good at protecting the horses, and it's something in your mind, I reckon, isn't it, in the last 200 metres, it's not about not giving a horse a chance to win, but when that winning opportunity's done, there's no real point wasting that conserved energy for the next start, because Little Yankee just went over the line, had everything to give.
Yeah, correct. Like there was probably one point sort of near the top of the straight where I could have pulled his head hard right and gone from the pegs to about 6 or 7 wide, but you just do more harm than any good at that stage, and the race was sort of over for us where we were, but I was extremely happy with how he went the other night.
He's one of my best, Jack, one of my best as well. Andy Gath, the reason that we have the burning questions and why the sponsors are jumping on, table grape proprietors around the country want to be involved in the burning questions because this man is on a hot streak. Is it Mr. Fortunia, as Brett Carroll suspected, or are you going with something else as your best?
No, I'll take all the pressure myself, and I'll go with one of mine. And Brett Carroll is right on the mark, and I'll go with Mr. Fortunia. I think he'll find the top. He was very good last week. He was held up, had plenty more to give, and start before he was an inch away from running second. So, yeah, he's quite a progressive horse. He's getting better all the time, and yeah, I think he's definitely going to be a great winning hope.
Yeah, I think you'll find the front as well, and from there, we'll tend to surprise. Can't have go at horses, but Tinder Surprise does tend to have swipes a little right and left when it gets to the front sometimes. So even if it is the best horse in the race, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to win. I'm going with my best. I've got a couple of value there. I like Little Yankee and Stingray Tara, but my best is going to be Huli Nien. He's a horse I've had a very fractured relationship with, but I think he lobs the perfect spot here, and can't believe I wasn't awake to the $8 that he opened Huli Nien. Is there anything else we need to know about some other runners on the card that we haven't spoken about? First of all, from you, Andy, like Tango Tara, do you think he's going to be breezing? Can he win from there in that Melton Pace final?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to breeze, and yeah, I think Jack just got us on the line last week after the perfect run. We copped a bit of heat. Again, he's a horse that we're still probably working out a little bit, but we probably find that he needs a fair bit of work, and probably a little bit easy on him again last week, but pretty solid work this week, and expecting that he'll run a great race, which he's going to have to. He's going to have to sit outside Crafty Bard and might have Julian on his back, but I'm sure you've seen the true version of him this week.
And Jack, anything else you'd like to contribute before you smile your way through the rest of the day and the weekend?
Nah, not really, Jace. So that's enough for me.
Yeah, you've done a super job, mate. I know you were nervous. I can see the sweat on your brow, but you've done a magnificent job. And even though you were subtly insulting me earlier, I think at least you didn't go flat out like the other two. So I give you 3 votes for today's edition of Burning Questions, which is all done and dusted. Great to be back. Hopefully we can find a winner at Ballarat or wherever the program might be, Terang, Wagga. I don't know where it'll be. Wherever COVID's not, we'll have it there. Thanks for joining Burning Questions once more.